So recently, the friendly antinatalist, whose channel I very much appreciate, made a video about the tribes within the antinatalist community and basically made a call for unity. I'll let you go, check out the video itself, which I'll put in the description. I don't want to speak for her too much, but I think it's safe to say she discussed prioritizing antinatalism over the other issues that we might have as communities, such as veganism, such as atheism, and, leftism, a couple of other things. And I thought that was really interesting. I wanted to point out real quick, I don't think this is going to be a particularly long video, but I wanted to point out that I would say that, there's this concept of the hegemony within Marxism, the cultural hegemony or the dominant ideology. There's a question of whether it's intentionally built by the ruling class or whether it just sort of has formed. And that's a whole debatable video in itself. But the point is, there's the dominant narrative. There are the dominant beliefs, which are, at least in America, which are Christianity, capitalism, reproduction, and meat eating. There are other ones, but those are really the ones that concern us. And so, on the left, there's the concept of intersectionality. And I think that really does apply here. Those, for me, it's kind of felt like I came to be aware of atheism, to be aware of antinatalism, to be aware of veganism, and leftism, as separate realizations. But in the end, it's all pushing back against the dominant narrative, which is exploitative and which serves to basically enrich those at the top, right? And make their lives better while exploiting the people at the bottom and the animals and the earth and everything like that. So, while I do think it makes sense on a practical level to prioritize antinatalism, because I think that's maybe the biggest impact that we as an individual can have when it comes to reducing the amount of suffering felt in the universe. I think that we really need to view this whole thing as all being under the same banner, ideally. I think we've all sort of coalesced around antinatalism, but I think we're really pushing back against the hegemony or the dominant ideology in its many different forms. So it's not a coincidence that so many antinatalists are also leftist. It's not a coincidence that so many antinatalists are also vegan. It's not a coincidence that so many antinatalists are also atheist. I think it's because we are all pushing back against the hegemony, and we do so in these different ways. Now, does that mean I think that you're being misled, or that you're trapped, or that you're maybe ignorant or something, or in the hegemony's trap if you are not any of those things? No, not necessarily. But I do think that if we view things in that larger light, then I think that's going to be helpful to us. It's just it's conceptually helpful. One of the things I wanted to point out about the hegemony and about our value system is our value system, we consider suffering to be the worst possible thing. And in the hegemony, they basically consider suffering to be, I would say, a tool to control people, or they sort of glorify suffering, and in some cases almost worship suffering. When you look at Jesus, Christ, obviously, they are worshiping a man who, most of the time is depicted as being nailed to a cross, having the crown of thorns, not the crown of thorns, as being whipped, brutally. His whole thing was suffering and how that was holy. And, they like these end of life, they want people to just ride it out. They want people to tighten the belts, austerity. They think that, what is it? It's like pain is just weakness leaving the body, and they believe in hard work for hard work's sake. And, they really think, I don't know if I'd say worship suffering, but more or less worship suffering while we push back against it. So I guess this is a pretty short video, but I just wanted to maybe put that concept out there that we are not only antinatalists, but a lot of us are just sort of like anti-hegemons. So we're against the hegemony. So that's all. Thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.